Pippin, steady on, Uncle.
How did the events of The Lord of the Rings appear from Frodo Baggins' perspective? To answer that, we have to go back to the Shire, where it all began. Everyone knows Frodo Baggins as the Ring Bearer, the hobbit who carried the fate of Middle-earth to the very edge of the fire. Yet the story reaches its most startling moment at the Crack of Doom, where Frodo chose to claim the ring rather than cast it into the fire. We'll get to that moment, standing over the cracks of doom, in a little while, but to understand how the gentlest hobbit in the Shire ended up there, refusing to finish the one task he'd carried 1,800 miles, we have to go back to where this all started. Not with a battle, not with a wizard's warning, but with a quiet hobbit hole under a hill and a restlessness Frodo couldn't yet put a name to. Before any of that reckoning at Orodruin, before his name was ever hissed in the black speech of Mordor, Frodo was something far simpler than Master of Bag End, a comfortable hobbit hole under the hill in Hobbiton. He'd come to that green smile at 21, adopted as heir by his cousin Bilbo on the very day that happened to be both their birthdays, the 22nd of September. For 17 quiet years, that was his whole world, until Bilbo vanished at his 11th birthday party, and Bag End along with the small golden ring passed into Frodo's keeping. Here's the part most people skate past. The Shire folk of Hobbiton started to whisper that Frodo had inherited more than a smile, that same strange, well-preserved look that had made tongues wag about his uncle for decades. Something was already at work for him. On clear nights he'd stand in the garden, look east toward the misty mountains, and feel a restlessness with no name. And every time a quieter voice answered back, "Not yet." But not long after, in the spring of Third Age 3018, when Gandalf the Grey returned to Bag End after 9 years away, 9 years spent ranging from the shadow of Barad-dûr to the dungeons of Dol Guldur, chasing the truth of a trinket Bilbo had once won under the mountains, Frodo saw it immediately. The wizard had changed. What Gandalf told him that morning marked the end of the life Frodo had always known. The golden ring in Frodo's pocket was no ordinary trinket. It was the One Ring, the ruling ring, forged by Sauron in the fires of Mount Doom during the Second Age to dominate every other ring of power, which was lost when Isildur fell at the Gladden Fields. It remained hidden for 2,500 years before coming into Smeagol's possession, and centuries later, passing to Bilbo. And here's where things starts to get a bit more serious when Gandalf explained how the ring slowly devours whoever carries it, how it would in time render a mortal permanently invisible, exposed to the eye of Sauron forever. As he spoke, Frodo felt something vast and cold reach out from the east, not toward Middle-earth but towards him. He was no Númenórean lord, no wizard, only a hobbit of the Shire. Yet the fate of all Middle-earth now rested with him. Glory had nothing to do with his decision. He left the Shire because the people and places he loved would not survive what was coming if he stayed. And the moment Frodo, Sam, Merry and Pippin set out together. From the Hobbiton, they were fleeing for their own lives. Not long after, when Black Riders picked up their trail almost at once, 9 ringwraiths, once kings of men, hollowed into Sauron's most terrible servants and sent from Minas Morgul to bring the ring home. Frodo felt their presence before he understood what they were, gripped by an unnatural dread with no visible source. It was his first encounter with something deeper than any ordinary fear. The ring itself seemed to urge him toward a single choice, which was to put it on and disappear. That whisper became a scream on the hill of Weathertop Amon Sul, where a watchtower of the old North Kingdom once stood. Surrounded by 5 of the 9, Frodo understood, even as his own hand betrayed him, that this urge wasn't his desire at all. It was his enemy's command. He put it on, and he paid instantly regret that decision when Witch King of Angmar drove a Morgul blade into his shoulder, and a splinter of that blade began its slow crawl toward his heart. Only Aragorn's fire held the wraiths back that night, and only a desperate ride to the Ford of Brunnen saved him after, as the flood Elrond and Gandalf summoned rose up and swept the 9 away. Frodo survived at the Weathertop, but that wound would eventually come back to haunt him for the rest of his life, and long before that, it would force him into a room full of elves, men, and dwarves, where he'd have to do something far harder than face a ring wraith, stand up, alone, and offer to walk into Mordor. While waking at the house of Elrond felt as though all weariness Frodo had carried had finally been lifted, but that peace didn't last. At the Council of Elrond, Frodo was called to decide the ring's fate. Once and for all, Frodo felt a hot wave of shame the moment he drew it out before elves, men, and dwarves. He listened as Boromir, son of Denethor II, steward of Gondor, argued that such a great weapon should be turned against its maker, and Frodo felt in his bones the truth Elrond and Gandalf spoke aloud. The ring cannot be mastered, only destroyed. Anyone who tried to wield it would become another Sauron. When it became clear someone had to carry the ring into Mordor itself, Frodo felt an overwhelming urge to just stay, to let wiser, stronger people decide the fate of the world. And then, before that longing could win, he heard his own voice break the silence. He would take the ring, though he didn't know the way. The Fellowship formed around him. Gandalf, Aragorn, Boromir, Legolas, Gimli, Sam, Merry, Pippin. 9 walkers set against 9 riders. And then the moment eventually came, which no one was expecting. At Amon Hen, the seat of seeing above the falls of Rauros, Boromir, worn down by the ring's slow pressure and his own desperate wish to save Gondor by any means, tried to take the ring from Frodo by force. To Frodo's eyes, in that instant, Boromir's face twisted, lit by a fire that wasn't truly his own. Frodo ran, alone, to the ancient stone seat atop the hill, and there he felt 2 powers fighting over him directly, a voice urging him to tear the ring off, and the eye straining across the distance to fix him in its sight. In that single free instant, he pulled the ring from his finger and made the choice that would define everything after. The ring's evil was already corrupting the Fellowship itself. To save his companions, he had to go on alone, into Mordor, without them. Alone, except for one hobbit who wouldn't take no for an answer, and one creature, still out there in the dark, who would turn out to matter more to the fate of the ring than Frodo himself. While Sam refused to be left behind. Together they descended into the Emyn Muil, a pathless listening land of bare rock, where Gollum finally caught up to them. Once, this creature had been Sméagol, a store of the river folk, before 500 years under the ring's influence hollowed him into something wretched, split against himself. Frodo chose to spare him rather than let Sam finish it, because in Gollum's ruin he recognized a shadow of what he himself might become. Under Gollum's guidance, they crossed the dead marshes, where the drowned faces of soldiers slain in the War of the Last Alliance still seemed to stare up out of the stagnant pools. As they neared the Black Gate, the ring's weight became something almost physical, a downward pull as if it meant to root Frodo to the ground. Worse than the weight was the sense of the eye, a hostile will trying to pin him in place no matter where he stood. After turning back from the Black Gate, the 3 took Gollum's secret way south through Ithilien, up the stairs of Cirith Ungol, past the corpse-pale city of Minas Morgul, once the Gondorian city of Minas Ithil, before the Nazgûl claimed it. There Frodo felt the Witch King's attention pass close by, and his old Morgul wound throbbed as he fought down the pool to put the ring on in answer. Gollum's betrayal came in when Shelob's lair home to the last child of Ungoliant's brood, a spider ancient enough to have nearly ended the quest right there. Stung and paralyzed, Frodo was carried off by orcs to the Tower of Cirith Ungol, and it was Sam believing him dead, then discovering he wasn't who fought his way in alone to bring him back. When Sam handed the ring back to him, Frodo's first reaction wasn't gratitude, it was fear for one terrible second. He saw his oldest friend as a thief, until the fog cleared, and he understood it was the ring twisting his own sight. In the last miles across Gorgoroth, the ash-choked plateau at the heart of Mordor were a weary trudge with almost nothing of Frodo left to make them. He confessed to Sam that he could no longer remember the taste of food or the memory of a single star. There was only the wheel of fire behind his eyes. At the Samoth Nar, the Chamber of Fire deep inside Orodruin, the quest reached its true climax. Standing at last on the brink of the chasm where the ring had been forged, Frodo didn't throw it in. Instead, in a voice suddenly clearer than Sam had ever heard from him, he claimed the ring for his own refusing to finish the errand he'd carried across the whole of Middle-earth. It wasn't strength of will that finally destroyed the ring. It was Gollum lunging forward, biting the ring clean off Frodo's hand, and in his frenzied joy at reclaiming his precious, stumbling over the edge into the fire below, taking the ring with him into the cracks of doom. After being rescued from the erupting slopes of Orodruin by Gwaihir and the Eagles of Manwë, Frodo woke in Ithilien to find himself, for the first time in months, entirely himself again. But the road home to the Shire couldn't undo what the quest had cost him. There is no truly going back, not after Weathertop, not after Shelob, not after Mount Doom. He returned to Bag End as a completely different hobbit, wounded by knife, by sting, and by tooth, in ways no Shire healer could mend. Every year, on the anniversary of Weathertop, the old pain returned, and he'd sit clutching the white gem Arwen Evenstar had given him against just such a day. In the end, knowing his true healing lay only across the sea, Frodo took ship at the Grey Havens alongside Bilbo, Gandalf, and the last of the Ring-bearers. His final words to Sam weren't sorrow. They were a promise that Sam, unlike him, would be whole for many years yet, with so much still left to enjoy, to become, and to do.